Okay, so hello and welcome to another OAGI webinar event. My name is David Conley. Today's topic represents the completion of a 4-year milestone, the general availability of OAGIS 10.0. So let's start by reviewing this agenda. We'll go through a little bit about the OAGI history, and some of you know this already. And then we'll talk about the strategic case for OAGIS 10 and some of the technology case, and then the way forward as well. So part of my pictures, the Hubble telescope gives me lots of pictures to represent a potential genesis. So we were founded back in 1994, originally by a bunch of ERP vendors, interestingly enough, SAP, Oracle. Some of you may remember PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, American Software. I was with Dun & Bradstreet Software and sat on the board at that time for us. We started with looking at how can we integrate these applications better. And this was the days when EDI was really the only mechanism for interoperability, and that was only B2B, as you all know. And we decided to focus on the content. And this will become more front and center to you as to why the content becomes really the most important thing moving forward. Everything else is an enabler to that content. Important, but as an enabler. So our original scope was a large thing. It was B2B, which is the outside the enterprise picture, consumer to business. It was the enterprise interoperability. And the theory being is that when you bring data in through the firewall, it makes a lot of sense for it to be in a similar format to what you have to deal with and send out through the enterprise, so not only through your back office, but through your front office systems, and then into things like your barcoding for your manufacturing, your data collection, time cards. So we really started out with a concept in our inevitable non-marketing way. We called this Team A, Team B, and Team C as the original. So you can see this was actually founded by a bunch of engineers. The first release of OAGIS was way back in 1996, 2 messages. It was a post journal and a confirm message. And in the days of EDI, the organization, the members said, you know, we really don't want to do structures, we want to do metadata. And so that's when we first started looking at what can we do, and this is before XML, and so we developed our own very tight metadata, working with a lot of smart people from, actually, some guys from MIT, protocol guys involved, and some other folks. So the standard turned out to be a Word document, which is what a lot of standards are still to this day. But we did have examples so that people could implement these in a machine language. So from the historical reference from pre-XML days, we've brought this content that I referred to earlier into the first XML document type definitions in DTD format. About the year later in the year after the W3C first brought out XML DTDs. Then we brought out schema. I think it was within 12 months when W3C brought out schema. So what we've done is we've migrated the core content through these different expressions so that folks could implement either DTD or schema. And then we've modeled the data models even further using the UNCFAC core component technical specification, which is a technical modeling discipline. It's called CCTS, and it also has a naming and design rules so that we can follow and make sure that every single message or sub-message that we build follows the same design rules, upper, lower case, how to model, you know, the name of an element. And the CCTS 3.0 even improved upon that, and we brought out a version that supported that in 2012. And now we have this version coming out that has improved modeling across the board. We took a look at all of our design methods, types, patterns to try and make things more consistent. So we're 4 years in the making. I went back and had to look, and I remembered it as 3, but when we looked, it was 4. And some of the major things that are in this are based on a lot of promises we made to folks over the years. One was when we merged with SIDEX, and I'll talk more about this, the CHEMI standards functional equivalence. Harmonization with one of our sister organizations for data objects that overlap like people. We don't compete with them in terms of the specific processes within HR XML like benefits. But we do have some of the needs to have people. And then we've added to our base manufacturing facility a lot of stuff in logistics we've added. I'll show you some of those nouns over time. And then we focused a lot on ease of use, single namespace. We used to have a lot of namespaces because of the historical reference to when you bring in stuff from outside your namespace, like in this case you would see that we had several namespaces. So we focused on all these mechanisms to try and add functional equivalence, make things easier to use. So when we stepped back and had this conversation with the board, why? What makes OAGIS 10 unique? And we'll come back to this slide where we really have one standard that supports multiple industries, one standard across an increasing number of domains. We have one standard across an increasing number of business processes and one standard for B2B, A to A, and enterprise interoperability. So something that we have observed over the last 7 or 8 years is that as industries have matured in their efforts, they have come to the conclusion that they need to be looking at supporting multiple industries with their base B2B and then therefore A to A strategies. And our first big example was high tech in 2007. They came to us, a lot of it because we've been working with the automotive industry directly, the AIAG, the ODED in the world, JAMA in Japan. And so high tech wanted to interact with automotive because in today's world, some of these CTOs of automotive will tell you that a car is just a major computer on wheels now. And the CTO of GM used to be there. He used to measure lines of code. And back 5 or 6 years ago, he said, we've gone from a few thousand lines of code 5 years before that, say 2000, to over 1 million. And this was 2005. So you're seeing cars now that can park themselves, and you get the idea. Now I think there's a lot of base cars, not just high-end cars. See Chevy coming out that says, oh, I need to be able to brake before I hit somebody. Well, guess what's in there? That's high-tech stuff involved in it. So let's get to the SIDEX story, which was a big promise that we made a few years ago. SIDEX started looking at these same priorities, and they've took a look and said, you know, we're declaring victory. You know, we've got our industry up to date, and we really want to take a look at how do we support multiple industries, how do we support the UN CFAC core component technology, because that's something that we know we need to do. So they started conversations with us in 2008, and we decided to merge in 2009. And this is where the slide that basically tells you what I just told you. I have to get ahead of my side. Sorry about that. So OAG committed to maintaining the existing CHEMI standards, not just for the chemical industry, but because the agriculture industry, through Ag Gateway, uses the version of the CHEMI standards, the AGI standards as well. And we also then committed that the next generation version of OAGIS would support the needs of the chemical industry. So out of that OAGIS 10 sub-work, we started off this working group led by Jim Wilson, who was the chief architect for SIDEX and is also the standards architect, I understand, for Ag Gateway. But this was also a collaboration with the Chemical Council. A lot of input from the folks on the Chemical Council, the OAG Architecture Council, because a lot of this was the support of, we don't want to just recreate those messages. We want to remodel them, and that was the whole idea, is to model them across industry, the support of the UN CFAC stuff. So it came back down to spreadsheets, functional equivalence in spreadsheets. And what we tried to do was work for stuff that was functionally equal. And so most of the time we were able to either add stuff to the OAG messages. We added, I believe it was 2, and I'll show you what those messages were as a part of this work. It reminds me to make a note that there's going to be a more detailed version of this presentation given at our OAG plenary on Wednesday, November 20th. That'll be in San Francisco. And you'll be able to register for that for either face-to-face or online on our website at www.oagi.org. We'll have Jim Wilson, who actually did this work, present this part of it. I just want to make you aware of each of the parts of this and then move on. So the industries we know we support because we've actually done projects to physically support these industries include aerospace, automotive, you can see this, government agency, high tech. Life sciences includes farm, and I know there's actually several medical device software companies, pacemaker companies, and others that use OAG as well. And so we have this broad range. This gives you an idea of the broad range, from Ingersoll Rand in the UK, US Steel, Merck, National Bank of Abu Dhabi, of all places. We've done a good bit of work with them. The UK MOD, they call themselves. So we have a very, very broad range when we continue to try and support these industries moving forward. So back to this slide about one standard across industries, one standard across increasing domains and business processes. We'll go there next. So this slide really attempts to show you the different business processes. And I really need to update this because there's a few that we've improved upon, especially in the logistics area, I know, and in CRM, I know, moving forward, to give you an idea of our overall scope. This picture will also come back to, which represents traditional B2B using EDI and XML. Know that small text, but you'll get a recording of this. And then best practices for enterprise interoperability, although certainly not exclusively, is XML. Then when we get to mobile and cloud, we see emergence of other expressions of business models. And JSON comes to mind at this point in time. And OAG has a JSON version that we've actually just included in OAGIS 10. I haven't announced it yet because we're moving quickly. That announcement will come. But JSON doesn't replace XML. The point is that we use whatever makes sense in each of these emerging platforms and opportunities. And things don't replace each other. They complement each other, and we'll come back to that. So when we talk about depth of content, it's one of the reasons is because of this business problem. Is we have enterprises that need to talk to their customers and customers' customers and suppliers and their suppliers and so on through the chain. But within the enterprise, we have several different business units, and organizations are adding new business units, and they're like, how do we plug these business units into the business, and how do we achieve that level of agility? By working towards a depth of content and a breadth of content that will support each of these different use cases over time. And that, it just takes time, and that's why we've been at this for something like 18 years. We continue to have lots of opportunities to move forward to add not just content, but also expressions that we can use to support these. So this is one of our eye tests again, to give you a little idea of the batch certificate analysis. That is a version of the COA out of the ChemE standards that I know the ag folks use as well. And then we have an item certificate analysis. And this is one of the benefits, is that we took that COA built for the chem industry and we vetted it across lots of different industries, including some heavy discrete. And we came up with 2 versions that support all of the above. And so that sort of goes into fulfilling the promise of cross-industry that we made for the ChemE standards work as well. We've added a lot of stuff in the logistics area, hazardous material shipment document, freight invoice, for example. Let me show you the production performance and production schedule. That's work that came from a standards group called ISA, and their specification is really a document. It doesn't have machine readable, and so they were pleased that we were able to do that. And we've actually seen these messages that were originally intended for internal reporting of manufacturing processes used for some very interesting B2B processes. And we can talk about more about that when we have more time in November. I want to show a couple other things that we've done here. The risk control library is something that is for reporting of corporate governance, originally modeled after the U.S. Sarbanes-Oxley needs for governance. And so you can see we don't only talk about shop floor stuff or ERP stuff. We go up to the real enterprise level and talk about governance as well. So we really, when we look at this, the opportunity to have all these smart people that worked on this over the years to give us that kind of capability. And so now that we've talked about, OAGIS 10, let's talk about a newer thing that we've brought forth thanks to our chief architect, Mike Rao, who works for Oracle. He's coming back to the model. This is not a brand new concept in the world, in UNCFACT world, but it's a concept that we've been able to turn into reality with OAGIS 10. And the reality of this is the model is actually what's underneath the standard edition. The standard edition, which is on our website, which is all the messages that OAG does, is an expression generated from this model, which includes our platform, our meta model, the architecture, which is the messaging architecture, the noun verbs, all of that stuff is underneath the covers. And this is really the technology that the members have built in order to generate the standard. And what this, therefore, gives our users a capability to do is this. Let's bring it back to bubbles. So we have the model. And what if I'm a major enterprise and I want to generate an expression from the model that supports procure to pay? Well, I can do that. And I can maintain the integrity of the base model, have the organizations use procure to pay, make their extensions the way they want, but I'm preserving this. And to get into stewardship for a minute, you would want to lock this down in some kind of source code mechanism. And so I can also do this for, say, JSON. I could generate a JSON for a set of cloud APIs that someone wants to do. Or I could do, there's other expressions that are coming. One thing we know is, when people said XML came out, EDI was gone. Well, guess what? EDI is still here. XML is filling in those gaps. JSON is filling in other gaps. There'll be other expressions moving forward, and this really prepares us to support those. Say ATOM, for example, or ATOM, or which is an RSS expression, or RDF, for example. So we can generate these and maintain the integrity of the model, which is really the key. And so the model expressions give us the capability to generate maybe an industry specific. So I want to generate something as OAG for automotive, aerospace, and high tech. Just for them, they asked us, let's do this. Probably they don't want us to do that, but it gives us the capability. We talked about procure to pay. What about geopolitical? I need something that really supports Eastern Europe and parts of Russia, what used to be the USSR, say Ukraine and the Khans. Well, we got a lot of requirements from that part of the country a few years ago from one of our members. So that would allow us to do that. Or maybe a specific use case. You get the idea. We can generate these and get back to the model itself. Sorry, I had a noise in the background to do that as well. So let me continue to move forward because we're going to run out of time. So the benefits of the model include the ability for your enterprise to more fully leverage what's underneath. You can generate stuff. You can generate smaller artifacts as we move into mobile cloud APIs. Support your SOA, support web services. We'll get into some extensions and restrictions very quickly before we move forward. Again, this is meant to be an overview of what's there, and you can dig into more. We can do we're going to do a lot more detailed version of this, like I said, on November 20th. Another part of what we've done is this is a relatively new addition. We have 68 or 70 business process definitions we call scenarios, because they're more than just things like get, show, or process acknowledge. They support the entire business process. And I'm showing you this eye test for the depth of actually what's in this, which is one procure to pay scenario. And these are in OAGIS 10. You can see it supports the manufacturing suppliers, all the distribution and transportation, at least a specific type. And it has the details here. The customer party, you can see, for example, we even go to the supplier's financial agent and the customer's financial agent. And this will show folks really what's possible to do. Not necessarily you have to do this and it's an ABC, but it shows what's possible. And we've had several different industries contribute to these. And this is the second procure to pay version of it. So just want you guys to get the idea is that these things have been included. A lot of smart people work really hard to make these work. And the HRXML harmonization, which I've referred to as well, was led by Stefan Fawn of ADP. He's also one of our outstanding contributors, award winners. And this also came back to spreadsheets and harmonization between these particular objects. And we did the same thing with manufacturing. We spent a lot of time looking through all the details of our manufacturing to rationalize and improve what we've done in that particular space. And I'm going to try something that I really shouldn't do, and I should never do one of these, and that's a little bit of live stuff. So we've been working on extensions, as you know, for a very long time. And one of the things that people say when they look at the OAGIS model is it's too big, and the second thing they say is, but I need this data element. So after years and years of working on this, we have a legacy capability with a user area that came from a 40-year-old COBOL copybook user area that Ed Jordan espoused in the 70s. We've gone back to a mechanism that is like this. Here's the invoice, and here's an extension mechanism off the invoice. Now I'm going to actually go do a live demo and share this with you. So please chat with me and tell me if you cannot see this. But so what I'm showing you is the invoice itself here. And here's the invoice header. I go to the invoice header, and the invoice header has an extension mechanism that looks like this. And you can do extensions to any of these types. And this is the old any extension from the old user area. This is the functional equivalent of that. Well, I have this extension mechanism within the invoice header. But I also have one on the line. And then I also have one, as you can see, for, let's look at a distribution. So a major component also has an extension mechanism. And you can see that these extension mechanisms go into one of these things. So we have multiple different levels. At every major level, you will see an extension mechanism. These still need to be done within your own namespace. But it gives one the capability to know where everything is and have a more disciplined approach to doing extensions. So let us get back to OAGIS 10. I'm sure everybody can see this. And so one more thing on extensions is we've added a capability to have, this is schema only, to use the capability to have global types and local elements. Global types giving you the capability to make a change that goes across all of the OAGIS model. Local elements let you make a change for a particular use case that only actually shows up in a particular use case. And so this hybrid model has been met with a lot of applause from folks who, especially the folks who've been using OAGIS for a very long time. And we can talk about this some more as you become more familiar, if you're not a veteran user, then you'll understand better why this is important. So we're going to wrap up here in just a minute. We're about to go over, and I apologize for that, is with APIs. Now, we've done EDI messaging, and we still do this in the world. We do XML messaging, and we still do this for B2B and A to A. And with cloud, mobile, big data, and the emergence of the Internet of Everything, what we see are organizations are providing APIs to customers and suppliers. And a lot of this says, so I'm a manufacturer, and I can actually build an app that my supplier has on their mobile device, iPad, iOS device, any type of, even a phone. And they can actually then be connected to a cloud mechanism that says, oh, my inventory is coming down. And this self-service or push and pull capabilities are providing even more interactive capabilities. And so we see that this is complementing the messaging that people are doing today. It does not replace it. And that's a big, I think, point we want to make, is that we see the cloud mobile JSON work will be OAGIS 10 based. The technology and content is going to go into this. It's our platform of the future. And here's the picture again. And but I also want to emphasize that this doesn't mean that this is an either or. This isn't XML or EDI or XML or JSON or XML. It's the technology that one requires in order to deliver new and innovative solutions so that their enterprise can be more agile. And that's point going back to the content and the capability to generate expressions of that content. And it gets us really here, which is the Internet of Everything, where right now we're seeing the capability for machines to be able to tell you where they are and what's wrong with them. It gives one the capability to look in and say, I've just walked the shop floor and this pallet is running low, or there's actually more there that's being reported in the system. Or I know some of this is being worked on today in Ag Gateway. What about reporting from, say, farm machines? So this really works in lots of things, and it's not just people now. Machines are reporting on themselves. So you can see the possibilities are really limited by us. So OAGIS 10 is easier to use. Gives us increased cross-industry, gives us new content, it gives us more rigorous engineering, it provides us the platform for the future. So again, thanks very much. We started at 9:35 or 9:05. It's 9:34 by my watch, so we pulled it in right at 30 minutes. I want to thank you. I know we did this quickly. We'll make this recording available to everybody. And I want to thank everybody for their interest and attention again. And I look forward to working with everybody moving forward. So we wish everybody a great rest of your day and look forward to talking to you next time. Bye now.